He's on the other screen there. Pete, how you doing, kid?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. All right, Patriots 30-3 in the fourth quarter. Another non-competitive Pittsburgh Steelers game here in Foxborough. We've seen this over the years, and we're getting it again tonight. There's a ton to get to, from how the Patriots look tonight to, of course, the Josh Gordon signing. So I want your thoughts on all of it. You can weigh in on the comments down below. We'll answer the comments as we go. You can weigh in on your phone as well. You hit the fan line, and we'll catch you on your smartphone. So that's the deal. Pete, what are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Just a good old-fashioned ass kicking. It's wonderful. It just hasn't felt like a single second where they've been out of control of this game.
In control from the entire way, from the very first snap, very first drive. It's just, I think the Patriots look terrific, obviously.
Yeah.
And, I kind of thought they would, Pete. I said this a couple times, as we were going through the preseason. I was not expecting another slow start. They tend to have slow starts, September, October, where they have those hiccups. But I just think those joint practices sort of whipped them into shape, made them practice, made them, sort of dial in a little bit earlier than normally they would. And I thought they'd hit the ground running, and they really have.
Yeah, I expected them to start off pretty solidly, but I don't know. This is about as good as you could hope to see them. They've controlled all facets of the game. Steelers have gotten absolutely nothing. I think that a big part of it is the Steelers are a lot worse than a lot of people expected them to be. This team sucks. That secondary is awful, and the Patriots are taking full advantage. It's like you have to feel good about pretty much everything if you're a Patriots fan after this game.
So on the Steelers, I'll agree with you defensively. And defensively against Brady, it's always been just a complete mismatch. They just can't match Brady. Offensively, that Steelers team is going to score some points this year, Pete. They're going to be a good offense. And if you keep them out of the end zone here, I don't know. I think that says as much about where the Patriots defense is right now than anything.
Right. That goes into it. Like I said, this is as good as you can hope to see this Patriots team in the opener. We all know that this is a really good defense, and they're going up against what should be a pretty decent offense in Pittsburgh, but they've completely shut them down and been in control the whole time, and they've taken away Juju the entire game. So that makes you feel really, really good about where the Patriots are defensively.
All right, just going through some of the comments. Just quickly, Jeff C. says, dynamite connection, Mike, like a pizza. He's saying I have a bad connection. He says, you can't hear me very well. I don't have one of those fancy mics like Blackburn does. You tell me if
I'm the real professional here.
Yeah, our producers are telling me the connection is fine. So stuff it. Your thoughts, Pete, before we get into some of the fan lines and stuff. Your thoughts on the Josh? Excuse me. I guess I just confused my asshole receivers on the Patriots. I was about to say Josh Gordon. Your thoughts on the Antonio Brown signing?
I wasn't for it at first. I've since come around just to seeing how much it bothers everybody else in the league. That's been the best part for me. I think he's a clown. But the more I think about it, I'm okay with it because it's relatively low risk. Obviously, in terms of the 1-year deal, they didn't give up any real assets to get him. In fact, they get assets back if he goes somewhere else next year. And I think it's a situation where he's not going to fester in that locker room. If he presents himself as an issue, he's gone. And it's that simple. And you got a chance to get one of the best receivers in the league, add him to a team that's already really, really good, a top Super Bowl favorite, and you add Antonio Brown to this roster at the low risk that they did. Why not?
Why not? You don't need him.
Yeah.
You don't need him, is why not?
He makes you better.
What's that?
You don't need him, but he makes you a lot better, especially if you can take him away from another team within the conference. On
paper, he makes you better. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way.
If he does not work out, if he's an issue in the locker room, or if he's just not working out within the scheme of things, let him go. What does it really hurt you? It doesn't.
Well, they just gave him $9 million up front. So they're not going to be
your money.
What's that?
Is it your money?
No, Pete, but that means they're not going to be as, their trigger's not going to be as quick when you give a guy $9 million, assign him to a $9 million check. It's not like they signed him to minimum money and per game bonuses, so you can cut him at any second without, any sort of hurt. And you just sign a guy for you have him a check for $9 million. You tend to give him a second or a third chance. So, look, it's going to take a lot. It would take a real lot for someone to upset the apple cart in that locker room. But this asshole just might be able to do it. He might be the one asshole on the planet that could do it because he is make no mistake, Pete. He is a special kind of asshole. This guy is a first-class clown. You said it. And he does everything wrong. He does nothing that we respect, and you just rewarded him. You just rewarded him and gave him a $9 million check and a soft landing spot. And, oh, by the way, you don't need him. You don't need him.
Yeah, I understand that aspect of it. I don't like the idea that he gets to be rewarded for being a magnificent asshole and chasing himself out of a place where he never even got a chance to be unhappy. He just chased himself out of there before anything could happen. And they gave him second chances, third chances, fourth chances. And he was just the biggest asshole in the world and got himself out and got himself in a much better situation. And I understand that would make people mad. But if you're the Patriots from a business standpoint and from a winning standpoint, it's a good move. It's a low-risk move. And I think that it's a really good thing that he's here and can be a really good thing that he's here.
It's relatively low risk. Don't say it's no risk. They've got an amazing locker. They've got an amazing locker room with a great culture and a great winning attitude and a hard-working, do-your-job attitude. That shit's real. I don't think it's made up. And if there's anyone who could put a dent in that, that's him. So don't tell me it's no risk. And it's not my money. But again, the money up front makes it less likely that they're going to cut him on a moment's notice. They're going to give him a couple moments because they gave him that money. But look, I mean, it's going to be fun as hell to watch. You're talking about the best receiver in the game with the best quarterback in the game. And look at them the way they are right now. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be great for the talk show. It's going to be all of that. But I don't know. If any other team had signed him, you'd call that team stupid. You'd call that team irresponsible. You'd mock that team. So I don't know. You sign him and it's all good. You guys could beat. You could do that. I'm not going to do that.
Right. But you said that if there's one guy that can disrupt that locker room and ruin everything, it's Antonio Brown. I don't necessarily disagree with you there. But wouldn't the counter argument be if there's one guy who can get him to fall in line, it would be Bill Belichick and Tom Brady?
Sure. Yeah. Yes, I would say so. All right, a couple of things keep coming up here on the comments. One is the snaps of Alex Karras. Alex Karras. What's his name? What's his first name? Alex Karras was his dad.
I don't know his first name.
What's his fucking – I'm so bad with names. Karras, Ted Karras. Ted Karras. Thank you. Commenters. It shows you how fucking old I am. Alex Karras. Ted Karras, they're floaters. I'm surprised. Well, I mean, I don't know what you do about it. He's a backup center, but that does feel like it throws Brady out of rhythm a little bit back there.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw issues there, but I mean, it's a situation where he's kind of thrown into the fire a little bit, and you hope that it gets better with the more experience that he gets. I don't know. Clearly, it's not something that's really debilitated them tonight, but it has been somewhat of an issue.
The other thing I keep getting here is thoughts on Kyle Van Noy not being in the game because his wife is in labor. I famously called out Al Horford for taking paternity leave a couple of years ago on the Celtics. And I'm sorry, I find paternity leave kind of silly for pro athletes. I really do. I think it's ridiculous. But this isn't paternity leave. His wife's in labor. That's different. Paternity leave is like I'm taking another 3 to 6 days after the kid is born. This is the kid is being born. I never said don't show up for the delivery. Show up for the delivery. So I have no problem with this. And, I hope everyone's okay and all of that. I mean, it's labor. That's different. Labor's not leave.
What if it was the playoffs?
No, labor's labor. You can be there for the birth of the child like that. I get. I'm not gonna, that's not my issue. I'm going to take another 6 days, 3 days after that. That's when it's like. But anyway, that's not apparently is what's going on with Kyle Van Noy. So best of Kyle Van Noy. Couple of other comments on Steve Belichick calling the plays and not Gerard Mayo tonight. So I don't know how I should feel about that. I mean, they're both sort of. I mean, I guess Steve has more experience than Gerard Mayo, if you could say that. I mean, Gerard Mayo's first-year coach. Steve's been here for a while on the staff. Mayo,
I don't give a damn who calls plays as long as plays work.
I was gonna say, it seems to be working pretty good. I don't know. The defense looks fucking amazing. All right, so we'll start to take some fan line calls. And if my mic is bad, Cam, my producer, tell me if the mic is bad.
You sound fine on my end.
What's that?
You sound fine on my end.
Okay. Let's go to James in California on the fan line. James in California is going to join us, and you all can join us as well. As soon as he drops off, you can jump on. Just hit that button on your phone, and we'll see your pretty face. Some of you less pretty than others. Is this the guy that never wears a shirt? It's been a while since I've been on this thing. James, are you there? Well, I'm waiting for James. So I guess Sony Michel just got a carry. That's one guy who's been quiet tonight. Nothing out of Sony Michel tonight.
He's got like 10 carries, right? But he just hasn't gotten anything out of them.
Burkhead looks good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm curious to see how they split up the duties here. And yeah, I think that was Sony's 10th carry, and he has 11 yards. So not much going on there. I'm interested to see who gets the carries, how they split up the running game, because obviously the passing game is going to dominate this offense. But Sony is the guy that I'm looking at to kind of be the runner.
Is the passing game going to dominate? I thought this was going to be more of a running team this year.
Really? I mean, if you have Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, Julian Edelman, Demaryius Thomas, the passing game should dominate.
Antonio Brown and Edelman, I'm with you. I mean, Antonio Brown changes things. I don't think there's any question about it. And you know what? Hold on. Maybe Pittsburgh was actually ready for that heavy personnel, the James Devlin, Sony Michel thing that they ended the year with. Maybe Pittsburgh was ready for that to start this year. All right, let's grab a fan. Rich from Phoenix is on the fan line. He joins me and Pete Blackburn from CBS Sports. As soon as Rich pops on, we'll say hello to him. See what he's got for us.
I'm sorry, but honestly, I fell asleep during this game. I got loaded. You see all the fucking beers? I made the pyramid. But seriously, this is a fucking joke. This is a joke of a game. It's going to be a joke of a season. Let's just play the playoffs. I'm look at it all. Like,
and you're a Patriots fan, right, Rich?
Yes, I am. But I can't handle this. I can't handle this, Mike.
Pete, thanks for the
call. Every day of the week, and this is a joke.
Rich, thanks for the call. So
this is how spoiled we are.
But you know what? I mean, so that's kind of how I feel because I'm not like a fan. I'm not, I'm more interested in the Patriots doing well for business than my fandom. So I feel that way about these games. Fucking useless. I mean, and
it's the first game of the year. It's way too early to be like, okay, let's just move on to the playoffs. You're just going to run through every single team. I mean, they should win like 13 games at least this year with this team. But it's too early to start complaining about the games are non-competitive.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Pete, over the years, there's just so many Patriots games that they're just non-competitive. And you really got to sort of work hard to take things out of them. And it's, I guess last year was different with the 5 losses, but I don't know. I just think they're wagging this year. I think they, again, like I said, I think they found their stuff in training camp. They're coming out strong. Their schedule all season is weak, but to start, it's a fucking joke. The first 7, 8, 9 games are just, I think it's going to be a long time until this team loses a football game. Let me put it to you like that. James in California, next on the fan line with myself and Pete Blackburn. Folks, we generally have a dress code here, meaning we want you dressed. But we know James in California, so we allow Sasquatch on because we know he's not going to take it any lower than that. What's up, James? How you doing?
Do you think this is their best team in the Brady-Belichick era?
No, I think 03-04 is still their best team.
I think this is their most complete team, though.
03-04 is better than the undefeated team?
Yes, much, Pete. But go ahead, James.
I think this is their most complete team, though, because in 03 and 04, the offense wasn't nearly as good as this.
So, I don't know. I disagree. I think the offense in 04, I don't know what their numbers were. It was also a little bit, James, thanks for the call. I think, Pete, in 03-04, basically 04 is really the year. They were really never challenged in 04. One of the closest games they played was the Super Bowl, and that was only on paper. It was a 3-point game on paper, but they were never in danger in that game. And there were very, very few games in 2004 where they were ever in danger. That was the year Corey Dillon set a franchise record for rushing. That was Brady, Brandt, they were in their prime. That defense might have had 3 or 4 Hall of Famers when we're all said and done on the thing. So I think 04, if 04 had played 07, 04 would have punched the 07 team in the mouth, and 07 would have ran away and hide and hid like they did in the Super Bowl, because 07, by the end of the year, was not a tough team.
Yeah, they sort of were grinded down towards the end of the year, but there wasn't a competitive game in the 07 season until week 14 or 15 against Baltimore. That was the first real scare that they had that entire year, and they just ran through teams. But it was a different sort of we're just going to beat you offensively and put up 40 points a game, and that isn't sustainable usually. So I don't know. I think that there's a chance that this team could be the best one of them all, because I do think that this team is very, very complete, especially if Antonio Brown sticks around and adds another massive weapon to that offense. This might be the best offense that they've ever had.
So I'll tell you, I like Antonio Brown better as a player now. Okay? Again, I think the guy's a fucking clown and a joke. Really. I think Antonio Brown's a joke of a person. I do. I got zero respect for him. And if we're being honest, neither do most of you. Most of you don't have any respect for the guy, but you're excited because he's a Patriot and what he can do with Brady and blah, blah, blah. But I like him better as a football player than Randy Moss. He's tougher than Randy Moss. He's more willing to go over the middle, take shots than Randy Moss. I think he plays the offense more to Brady's liking, which I know 07, it's hard to say when Brady throws 23 touchdowns to Randy Moss, but I just think Antonio Brown's more of a route runner, all that stuff. So I think that Antonio Brown has a chance to be better than Randy Moss. I also think Antonio Brown has a chance to do the exact thing that Randy Moss did by the end of 07, and that is sort of help you lose your way. I'm a big believer in that, Pete, that Randy Moss and that whole offense was sort of – you didn't get better as the year went on. You sort of fell into some bad habits. You were weaker you were a finesse team offensively by the end of the year, and you were sort of ripe for someone to come hit you in the mouth. There were cracks there if you wanted to see it, and I think that the whole thing that Randy Moss led you down was part of that, and I think Antonio Brown has a chance to do that. 14-2, 15-1, 16-0, but I don't know. At the end of the day, those big outside receivers generally don't win. Just look at the history. They really don't.
But my counter argument to that would be that this year's team has more of an opportunity to spread it out, so that it's not just going through Randy Moss or not just going through Antonio Brown. You've got Josh Gordon, you've got Julian Edelman, you've got the guys coming out of the backfield. There's a chance for them to spread this around and give a lot of guys touches. And whereas you can't just key in on one guy and grind him down as the year goes on, that could work out massively in their favor.
Sure. Yeah, maybe they have more options this year than 2007, but I don't know. I'm just telling you. Antonio Brown tends to there's just a sort of underlying effect of a guy like that. And if you were on any other team, well, as I think you said before, this is a team that has a chance to mitigate that more than any other team in the league. Let's grab David in New Jersey. He's on the fan line again with myself and Pete Blackburn. 8:20 left here in the fourth quarter. 30-3, another non-competitive Patriots-Steelers game at Gillette. Hopefully this is not What's up, David?
This is the shirtless show, Mike. You should know that. I got your Miller Lite, though. So
Attaboy.
Yeah, James,
so
yeah.
I want a prerequisite that you have to have the Miller Lite, no shirt on, and talk Pats.
I like it.
Come on. But no, it doesn't matter. You just got to execute the game plan. And if you have more weapons, it's about keeping Brady off his back. Quick shots, get him out. I mean, Edelman's been on fire today. Just, the score is ridiculous, but.
Do you think Antonio Brown can fit in that kind of system? Because Antonio Brown is usually me, give me the ball.
I'm sure Rosenhaus said this is the line you got to toe. I mean, he represented Gronkowski, and I'm sure Rosenhaus said, AB, you can't be a clown in this team, or they wouldn't have signed it. Even $9 million, as you were complaining about before. I mean, he's got to toe the line, or they're not going to have him. They're not going to stand the nonsense. I mean. Well, even if you compare to Randy Moss, he was a clown before. He came to the Patriots. Yeah, unfortunately, they lost with the helmet catch. But, I mean, we can go past that. But, I mean, still, he's one of the greatest wide receivers in the current day that's playing. I mean, why would you not want to add him?
Well, let me ask something, David. Without Antonio Brown, who's the Super Bowl favorite?
The Chiefs.
Yo, really? You have the Chiefs over the Patriots?
Well, not now.
But you did.
You're asking me an honest opinion. I'm not going to lie to you because then I'll be crucified either way.
No. It's okay. So, look, if you think – thank you for the call, David. We'll let you go. If you think you need Antonio Brown to beat out the Chiefs, then okay, fine. I think I had the Pats in the Super Bowl without Antonio Brown. So why do I need to introduce that? Why you don't need it. That Pittsburgh is, I disagree with you, Pete. I think in the modern AFC, Pittsburgh's going to be a competitive team. And you just totally, completely outclass them.
They're going to be competitive, but they're not like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And a lot of people were putting them there, or not a lot of people, but some people were putting them there. And also, I don't necessarily agree with the Antonio Brown, Randy Moss comparison in terms of just like their situations, because I mean, Randy Moss was one of the best wide receivers in the league, obviously, with the Vikings, and then he went to Oakland and sort of became irrelevant in Oakland. And I think that he was just he was hungry to win, and he was hungry to be relevant again when he came back here, and he was just happy to be here. And I don't necessarily if I have that confidence in Antonio Brown, because he was never irrelevant. Like, he was very much still a top wide receiver and very respected in Pittsburgh, but he whined his way out of Pittsburgh, and then he whined his way out of Oakland before he even got a chance to succeed in Oakland. So I'm just like, I'm sort of questioning whether Antonio Brown still loves football or cares about football more than anything, that he'll fall in line. That's
you see that cartoon he posted today, business is booming with all the cat. Like, fuck off.
Like he has
an asshole. Call it for what he is. The guy's a freaking clown. He's a joke.
He's an egotistical maniac. And so like that concerns me, just because I don't know if that's going to take precedent over football.
You know, Sean says, I hope they don't marginalize Dorsett with AB showing up. Right? Like I like Philip Dorsett.
Same.
They're just showing a replay of Marcus Cannon, and
that doesn't look good.
That looks fucking ugly. Jesus. What the hell was that? It's like he dislocated something, dislocated elbow or something.
Shoulder back in.
So that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, how many hits can you take up front? If that's a real serious injury, that didn't look good. If you've lost your center, you've lost your right tackle. Wynn has looked good tonight. But, you know, first-year left tackle, first-year center now. Who they got at right tackle? Is that Ellamore guy?
Yep. And Thuney
they moved Tooney to right tackle, and the Ellamore is at left guard that I'm looking at right now.
That's not great.
But either way, right? Like, that's maybe there's a little something there. But
yeah, I mean, if you don't have a line, that's gonna throw everything out of whack.
Agreed. All right. Let's see. Let's look at some more questions here. David Whittier said, has anyone watched the league today? The league is terrible. It's all false starts, holds, and awful quarterback play. It's a pretty good assessment. The penalties were outrageous today. Absolutely outrageous, the number of flags across the league. I'm sure someone's going to compile it and write about it tomorrow, the number of flags that were thrown. I wonder if it's a record. I really do. I mean, it's obvious they were trying to do something.
Half of them belong to the Cleveland Browns.
So I didn't see much of that one. I watched a lot of San Fran because I wanted to watch Garoppolo. San Fran and Tampa. That was a wretched football game with bad quarterback play on both sides and penalties all over the fucking place. I felt like that was a lot of it today, just watching the red zone.
Yeah, the Browns had about 400 yards in penalties today. And, as expected, I hate the pass interference reviews. They're just never going to change those unless it's extremely egregious. And it's only put in place to prevent the disaster that was the NFC Championship last year. And I just don't see that happening again, because that was a once in a lifetime, like, awful call.
I just saw a little pass play from Brady. I just want to mention, I saw him sort of dancing around a little bit with his footwork. I think I've seen that tonight, where he was not super comfortable in the pocket. And maybe that's the line thing that we were talking about. There were other times when he was great, like he just bailed out because he had to. The first touchdown to Dorsett, the sort of floater over the middle, was a great ball, and he really hung in the pocket nicely. But I think there's been others tonight where he's dancing around a little bit, sort of not comfortable there. I guess I have to go back and watch the replay to see if there are really guys there at his feet. But I think sometimes there weren't. That's just one thing to keep an eye on with Brady. It's the only place I think he ever shows his age, is just sort of a little gun shy there in the pocket, where in the past he hung in there every play, every time. I don't feel like he does it as much anymore.
Yeah, I sort of noticed that last year during the season too, where it seemed like he would get he'd be a little like I don't know if I want to say like anxious or like just worried that he's going to get hit. And a lot of the times there weren't that many guys around him, and he'd like kind of catch himself and reset. I noticed that a few times last year, but
I just thought a few times on this drive, that last one as well. But
he's 43 years old. He can be overly cautious.
No, that's where but that's the only place I see his age show up. I think the arm is exactly the same. I think the arm's exactly the same. I think the brain is better than ever. It's just that's the only place I see it. Gostkowski 4 for 4 tonight. What was I just going to say? Oh, why are they fucking throwing the ball anyway?
That's what I was going to ask too. Like, just pound the ball, just run it until the clock runs out. Don't even bother throwing.
Or how about bringing in the kid? Can we see Stidham?
Do that too. I mean, it's 30-3, close enough to do it probably with this defense.
Brady, he doesn't like coming out. Billy Rondon says pretty much how I feel. Pats without Antonio Brown. I got to scroll back up here. Pats without Antonio Brown, Super Bowl favorites. Pats with Brown, Super Bowl favorites. Nothing changes adding him to your team, so why risk it? And that's sort of how I feel. He's
the top 3, top 5 receiver in the league that you get to add to an offense.
But it just doesn't work that way. I mean, and Kyrie Irving is a top point guard in the league, and it didn't translate. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And if you are enough of an asshole, that's where it comes in. That's where
cut bait.
What's that?
So cut bait. Like, if he proves to be an asshole, let him go.
Okay. Let's see after that $9 million. That to me is the most surprising thing, is that they gave him that $9 million check up front. If it was per game, you get to $15 million because we'll give you, whatever, $1.5 million a week, whatever that math, or $750,000 every week, whatever that math ends up being. That I totally get. Like, that's what the Raiders kind of did. And that contract would make sense. That's what they did. All the assholes they've brought in, Pete, they made him renegotiate down, and the contract was in the team's favor. Moss did that. Corey Dillon did that. This isn't really the case. They sort of gave him his money.
But for a lot of those guys, they had to give up assets to get them to New England. You don't have to give up assets to get Antonio Brown to New England. You just sign him. And so I guess you consider that $9 million sort of the exchange rate for that.
Yeah, I think it's more about you have a better chance of keeping a player online if you have leverage contractually. You have a better chance keeping the player on the program if he's got to be a good soldier.
How did that work out for the Oakland Raiders?
What's that?
How did that work out for the Oakland Raiders?
Yeah, I guess it didn't. But I'm just telling you, that's what the Patriots have done in the past. And that was their rationale, as much as not wanting to, risk the money on a questionable character. They felt a good way to keep that questionable character in line was to have the carrot of the non-guaranteed money, and they've got to toe the line to get their money. And Antonio Brown doesn't really need to. He can take the $9 million and fuck right off. So
yeah, he could have taken the $30 million and fucked right off too in Oakland.
Again, fan line. If you want to join us on your smartphone or your computer, just hit that fan line. We'll put you up. Mike Giblin says, "What if KC got Antonio Brown? What if he got in? I don't get it. What do you mean? If
does that make KC better if he falls in line in KC? Does that make KC the Super Bowl favorite?
If KC signed him, I'd say it's fucking stupid. I'd say, why are you it makes a little bit more sense for them because I think they've still got to add to catch you. But they have to add defensively. I don't know if they need to add offensively, so I don't even know about that. Casey's got a really good thing going offensively with that offense and that receiving core, and that was a good play by the Steelers. You think that center was ever going to snap the ball? Just stand there.
Casey just lost Tyreek Hill too, so I mean,
okay, so I like, and Kansas City's culture is a joke to begin with, right? Your culture is really important. Your culture is why you're you. So there's risk there, more risk here than in Kansas City. But if Kansas City did it, I'd say, and we'd all say it. Why are you rewarding that asshole after the way he's performed? Why are you rewarding him? And good luck with that guy. He'll blow
in the back of everybody else.
Up.
In the back of our heads, we'd also be terrified knowing how good Antonio Brown is and knowing he's with Patrick Mahomes. Like that would be slightly terrifying knowing Antonio Brown on one end, Tyreek Hill on the other end. You have great defensive backs. But that is very, very scary to go up against. And then Travis Kelce down the middle, it would be very scary.
So just a thought on the Steelers here real quick. I spent a lot of the week bashing Mike Tomlin. And, we would do coach rankings, and he'd be somewhere like 15 or 16 and, really throwing a lot of disrespect at Mike Tomlin. This is the reason.
This guy sucks.
The reason.
He sucks, man.
I see this way too often. I mean,
you have to make adjustments.
Never. And it's like, how many times is Pittsburgh going to come in here? And Pete, I mean, you may say that they're a little low on talent, but they're more talented than this.
Right.
The talent gap is not 30 points. The talent gap is, well, the line was 5.5.
The Miami Dolphins are going to score more points than 3.
Thank you.
And that's going to be very embarrassing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, it was embarrassing coming out of halftime during this game when, I mean, they basically interviewed Mike Tomlin. They were like, what needs to change? And he was like, nothing. We're sticking to our game.
Sean Connors says, what the fuck was he thinking kicking the field goal from the 1? No, that was a good aggressive call because definitely 3 points is really going to leave a dent here on the Patriots. That was a great call.
At least they didn't get shut out. I guess they can take that back to Pittsburgh.
I mean, really. Let's 4th and goal from the 1, and let's kick the fucking field goal. Good God.
I mean, it worked for Arizona today. Arizona kicked a field goal when they were down by like three scores, and I was like, why are you kicking this field goal? And it sparked them. They came back, but they also weren't going up against the Patriots offense. And Pittsburgh kicks the field goal, gives this ball back to the Patriots, and they immediately get punched in the mouth, and they score a touchdown. And it's just like, what the hell are we doing here?
Anthony says the Pats cornerbacks are the best at breaking up passes. How many drop balls have these asshats had? It's a combination. Is that Moncrief? Boy, does he suck. Yeah. But the Pats are very sucks. But the Patriots D-backs, and they teach it, and it's been a long-standing thing. They are very good at not giving up on plays and ripping the ball once the receiver has it in his hands. Going all the way back to, was it Sterling Moore against Lee Evans, that Baltimore AFC Championship game in Foxborough? That was a good ball, Ben.
Oh, there you go.
Just keep chucking it down the field.
I think that's
always been good at ripping the ball.
That's probably my biggest concern for the Steelers is that if they go up against any team with a decent secondary or a decent shutdown corner who takes away Juju, who's going to catch the ball for them? Because the receivers behind Juju are not very good, and we've seen that tonight. Moncrief is absolute trash, and he's looked like absolute trash. So who else are they going to throw the ball to? I don't have any confidence in that.
Yeah, I also don't love Roethlisberger. I think, and you're seeing it tonight, he's not patient, Pete. He just wants to chuck it down the field. And, how many times – and this game, this is sort of out of control, so maybe that interception doesn't apply. But even in the first half, I mean, how many times is he just – those long shot plays to 13 especially going down this – I mean, they hit 1. But I just feel like he's not willing to patiently move the ball down the field. He wants to just take big shots.
You know what Roethlisberger is? He's fat Jay Cutler or fatter Jay Cutler.
He is fat too, man.
He just goes out there, slings the ball, and comes back to the sideline looking like an asshole who blames it on everybody else. That's who Ben Roethlisberger is.
And his shape is all you need to know. The condition that he's in. I need to stop my comment thing from scrolling. There was Asher says there was wide, and I just moved again. There's widespread speculation that there was tampering in the AB signing. Our thoughts on that?
I wouldn't rule it out, obviously, but I think that at some point it's not really like the Patriots' fault. I wouldn't consider that tampering because AB chased himself out of Oakland, and the Patriots didn't have much to do with that, even if they said, "Hey, we want you."
Yeah, so
that doesn't get AB out of Oakland.
As Anthony just said, when is there not tampering? Correct. Antonio Brown was tampering with the Patriots. He was tampering with the Jets. He was tampering with the Chiefs. I bet Rosenhaus was talking to 10 teams, not just the Patriots. But of course they were probably talking. And why is it?
And of course, because it's the Patriots, because he goes to the Patriots, then it becomes like a big deal because everybody thinks that the Patriots there's always a conspiracy theory, always cheating, always thing. I mean, like I'm sure there was some shady stuff going on behind the scenes, but it's also an even playing field, and it just works out for the Patriots because they're better at it than everybody else.
Well, there's also they're better at tampering than everybody else. But the Rosenhaus also talked to him before Brown was traded to the Raiders. He was in talks with the Patriots, and the Steelers allowed him to talk to the Patriots. So Rosenhaus knew what the number was. He knew what Bill was willing to do for him contractually. So, I mean, I'm sure there was tampering, but he probably didn't really need to. He knew Belichick was interested.
Well, what do you think about the Steelers being offered a first-round pick by New England, saying no, and then taking a third and a fifth?
Good one. I'm going to note that down because I want to mention that tomorrow. Fucking stupid. It's stupid on the part of the Steelers.
Yep.
And teams do this way too much in all sports.
All the time. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. You take the best deal no matter what because you have no control over what happens after that. Like, it's insane. It's insane how it happens so much. You said it. Like, it comes out after the fact. They weren't talking to teams in the division. They weren't talking to teams in the conference. Well, why the hell not? It's insane.
Pete, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes teams make in sports. And like you just said, Harry Sinden was notorious for it. Always want to send guys out west so they don't come back to haunt you. Joe Thornton's in San Jose for that reason. And it's like, so instead of getting a real return for Joe Thornton, we got fucking Marco Sturm and Wayne Primo, and I can't remember that dog shit trade. When you could have done more if you just traded him in the East, but you were afraid of him coming back to haunt you. What are you, fucking crazy? Like,
and it happened last offseason when the Senators traded Mike Hoffman. They traded him to the Sharks, and the Sharks immediately flipped him to Florida and got a better return than Ottawa did. That was so fucking funny.
If you don't want the player, you trade him to you take the highest offer in return, and then you beat that player because you don't believe in the guy for whatever reason. You don't believe in him. So why should you be afraid of him coming back to bite you? Trade him to your rival, get the biggest return possible, and then expose his weaknesses because you know what those are. That's why you're not paying him. Right. So, like, oh my God, I think that's so dumb, and I'm glad that's coming back to bite the Steelers because so many teams make that mistake. They could have gotten a first rounder from the Patriots, and they settled on a third and a fifth because they didn't want to send him to New England. Give me a fucking break.
Like, as icing on the cake, if Antonio Brown works out here, obviously that's a nice little bonus for the Patriots over the Steelers. But if he works out here and he goes somewhere else after the offseason, the Patriots ended up getting more for Antonio Brown than the Steelers did because they're going to get a third-round pick.
Unbelievable.
A third-round pick and Antonio Brown.
So dumb. Mike in Weymouth is on the fan line. Pop him up there, Cam, and we'll talk to Mike in Weymouth. And the commenters are saying too early for hockey talk. We're not giving you hockey talk. That's just a fucking example. Because we know a couple in hockey, but it happens in every sport. Mike, what do you got?
I didn't say that. I always talk about hockey, but yeah, I don't want. That makes me sick right now watching hockey and the Bruins. But quick question: do you honestly think that Clemson or Alabama could beat the Dolphins? Did you see the report that half the players want to trade? They want out. They want out of Miami right now. I think Flores should just come back.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah, the Florida reported that like a half dozen players. He heard from a half dozen agents from players on the Dolphins saying, "Get me out of here right now."
That's insane. And like now as like an added bonus, they get to go into work tomorrow and start prepping for the Patriots after watching the Patriots dismantle the Steelers. So, I mean, I'm not looking past Miami because there always seems to be.
You're not looking past Miami? We can look past Miami this year, Pete.
Sure, but like we can look past Miami every single year too, and they still always seem to end up beating the Patriots in one of the two matchups. So I'm not going to whistle past the graveyard, even though they look like absolute trash, like the worst team in the league.
Justin and Taunton, pop them up, Cam. We only got 105 left in this another pig fuck of a Patriots-Steelers game. I feel totally justified bashing the Steelers all week. Justin, what do you got?
Hey, guys. So you keep talking, Felger, about what's the issue in bringing in Antonio Brown. I don't see how there is a big issue. And then you compare us to other teams. Well, the thing is, if those other teams did bring on Antonio Brown, we'd laugh at him because they don't have the culture that we do. we have so much veteran presence on this team that I don't really think it's going to be that big of an issue bringing him in here, letting him do what he thinks he's going to do. It won't happen. It won't go down. They'll get rid of him before it happens. You won't really have an issue with it.
Again, after you write someone a check for $9 million, you're a little less likely to get rid of him at the first problem.
That $9 million, I know it's guaranteed, but can't they spread that out over a couple of years?
I don't know.
Maybe you only get like a $2 million cap hit each year over the next 4 years. The cap's going to go up anyways. Who really gives a shit? $2 fucking million, they can deal with that. As you say, cap is crap, right?
Yeah, but it's not a cap issue. It's a real money issue. You don't hand someone $9 million and then cut him the next day. You give him a couple of caps.
Belichick would do it, though. He's the type of guy.
Robert's not there. Trust me. Now, look, if you're saying me that signing bonus has deferred money in it and he's not getting the money right away, but it's a guaranteed $9 million, but it has to be written in 6 months, maybe that's different.
Yeah.
But if he got a check for $9 million today,
it didn't say it was at. The only thing it says, it didn't say it's at signing. It just says $9 million guaranteed. Who knows what that is? Like you said, it could be deferred, it could not be. But and another thing, you work for NBC, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. Can you have him do something with the little thing on the where it's, it says 2nd and 10 after every play? It's like coming up yellow. You think it's gonna be a fucking flag every single time? Okay. It's annoying. Have him fix that.
Thanks for the call. I'll see what I can do. I'll call my people over there. I was gonna ask him, but did he think the Patriots were the Super Bowl favorite before the Antonio Brown thing? I bet his answer is going to be yes. Or, and if not the favorite, they're 1, 2, or 3. They're right there. So, again, I don't think you need them. I
also can't rule out the possibility of them being able to void that $9 million guarantee if things end up the same way. Like you can end up like knowing how big of a clown he is, he could end up taking that money away from himself.
So, you can, and they love to do this now. It's a signing bonus, but you get so much now, and then the other half comes due next year at this point, and so it's guaranteed to you, but you just don't get it right away. If they did something like that, okay. I think that's a little different. If they just wrote him a check for $9 million, I'm sorry. All right, Pete, we're going to run. Thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. The fourth quarter live will be back next Sunday in Miami for the debut of Antonio Brown as the Patriots take on the Dolphins down there. So we'll see everybody then. Bye-bye.